A single red rose falls to the ground, its petals brushing against the shiny black shoes of a man standing still in the middle of a busy Los Angeles street. Cars honk, lights flash, and the city moves on, but he doesn't. Somewhere in the noise of it all, a soft laugh echoes from the past. The kind of laugh that never leaves your heart. Edward looks up at the skyline, older now, lonelier too. And for the first time in years, he whispers a name he promised never to forget, Vivian. The city of dreams has changed. The once glittering Beverly Hills streets now hum with a different rhythm, newer faces, younger dreams, faster lives. But for Edward Lewis, time has moved slower. The business meetings are fewer now, the dinner tables quieter, and the laughter that once filled his life has faded into memory. He walks through the lobby of a luxury hotel, the same one where it all began decades ago. Everything looks familiar, yet nothing feels the same. The grand staircase, the marble floor, the perfume of passing guests, each carries a whisper of a life he once touched and lost. He remembers the night she stepped out of that elevator, radiant, fearless, and free. She didn't belong in his world, and yet she made it hers. Vivian Ward, the woman who taught a man like Edward that love wasn't a business deal, that it couldn't be bought or owned. He sees her smile in every reflection, in every passing stranger who dares to look back. But Vivian is gone, or at least, that's what he tells himself. Truth is, he never looked for her. Maybe he was afraid she had outgrown the dream, or maybe he was afraid she hadn't. Outside, the city breathes differently. Neon lights blur against the drizzle of a quiet evening. Edward pulls out an old photograph from his coat, a picture of them at the opera, laughing like children who didn't know what the future held. The edges of the photo are worn, the ink fading, but her eyes still shine like the first day he saw her. He folds it carefully, placing it back into his pocket, as if folding away a piece of his heart. He whispers, "You made me believe in something real, ... Maybe that's what scared me." Somewhere across the city, Vivian stands by a boutique window, watching reflections of red dresses she once sold, then wore, then left behind. Her face, though unseen by the crowd, carries years of stories untold, fame, heartbreak, second chances. She runs her hand across the glass and smiles faintly, remembering the girl she used to be. The one who dared to dream and dared to love. She has built her own empire now, one not made of silk and diamonds, but of strength and survival. Yet, in her quietest moments, she still wonders what happened to the man who once climbed a fire escape just to win her heart. As the night deepens, two souls wander the same city, unaware that fate is quietly stitching their paths together once more. The city lights glimmer like 1,000 unspoken words. And somewhere beneath it all, destiny waits, patient, certain, and kind. The next morning begins like any other in Los Angeles, sunshine breaking through the glass towers, laughter from cafes, and the endless hum of life that never stops moving. Yet, for Edward, the day feels different. There's a letter on his desk, handwritten and sealed in crimson wax, something that doesn't belong in his world of emails and board meetings. The return address reads Vivian Ward Foundation for Women. His breath catches for a moment. Her name still has the same effect, like a spark lighting a forgotten fire. He hesitates before opening it, his hands trembling slightly. Inside, the invitation is simple. You are cordially invited to the 25th anniversary gala for the Vivian Ward Foundation, empowering women to rise. At the bottom, her signature, elegant, bold, confident. The kind of handwriting that dances between grace and strength. A faint smile touches his lips. She did it. She built something real. But buried beneath his pride is something else, fear. Fear of facing the years between them. Fear of seeing the woman he once knew, standing in the light of everything she became without him. Yet curiosity wins. He places the letter down, exhales slowly, and whispers to himself, maybe some meetings are worth being late for. That evening, the city transforms into a painting of gold and silver. The gala shimmers beneath chandeliers and champagne laughter. Guests in glittering gowns and tuxedos move through the ballroom like stars in orbit. The camera would glide across smiling faces, flashes of jewelry, and the elegant chaos of celebration, but then it would pause. Finding her. Vivian stands near the center of it all, radiant but calm. A woman who carries the grace of every battle she's won. She laughs with a young designer, her eyes soft but knowing, her smile untouched by time. She's not the same woman who once wore a red gown to impress. She's the woman who built a world where others could shine in theirs. And then, from across the room, he enters. Edward. His silver hair glints under the lights. His eyes older but still carrying that spark of quiet power. The crowd seems to slow as if the universe itself recognizes this moment. He doesn't rush toward her. He's too aware of the gravity of time. She feels it before she sees him, that invisible pull, the rhythm of a heartbeat she hasn't felt in decades. When their eyes finally meet, the air between them thickens with silence. No words, no greetings, just a shared memory that rewinds their lives in a single glance. The years melt away. He sees the girl who laughed on a fire escape. She sees the man who looked past the surface and saw her heart. A waiter passes by, breaking the spell. Edward forces a small smile and takes a glass of champagne, his hand steadying. Vivian looks away, greeting another guest. But her laughter falters, not because she's nervous, but because her heart suddenly remembers what it means to feel alive. Later, as the music softens, he finds her alone by the terrace, overlooking the glowing skyline. The night breeze carries fragments of the orchestra playing inside. It must have been love, a song neither of them has heard in years. She turns slightly, catching his reflection in the glass before turning fully to face him. Edward, she says softly. The name leaves her lips like a memory rediscovered. Vivian, he replies, his voice gentler than she remembers. You look. He pauses, searching for a word that doesn't exist, something that captures time, grace, and nostalgia all at once. Incredible, she smiles, the same half smile that once stopped his world. You always did know what to say, eventually. They both laugh, quietly, like two ghosts remembering how to breathe. The city glows behind them, alive and unaware that history is quietly being rewritten on a rooftop terrace. For a moment, silence fills the space, not awkward, but sacred. He finally says, you built something beautiful here. She nods, eyes softening. I had to. Someone once told me I deserved more than a dream. He looks at her, the weight of years pressing down, regret and admiration dancing in his eyes. I should have been there. Vivian tilts her head, studying him with the same sharp intuition that once scared and fascinated him. Maybe you weren't supposed to be. A pause. The music swells inside, laughter echoing faintly. She continues, we had our story, Edward. It wasn't perfect, but it was ours. Maybe that's enough. He takes a breath, almost speaks, but stops. The truth sits heavy between them, that maybe love never really ends. It just waits quietly for its next chapter. As the camera fades, their reflections merge in the glass, older, wiser, but still holding the same spark that once changed everything. The city lights below flicker like the closing of an old book and the opening of a new one. And for the first time in decades, Edward smiles, not the confident smile of a businessman, but the quiet, honest smile of a man who finally remembers what it means to feel whole. The days after the gala move slowly, like a song replaying in the background of their thoughts. Both Edward and Vivian pretend to return to their routines, but the truth is simple, neither can escape what was awakened that night. Edward finds himself walking the same streets he once drove through without noticing, pausing at corners that now hold quiet memories. The sound of her voice still lingers, the softness of her laughter still echoing against the noise of his carefully built solitude. He sits by his window, the skyline stretching endlessly before him, and realizes that success has given him everything but peace. Vivian, on the other hand, wakes each morning surrounded by the life she built, photographs from charity events, letters from women she helped, and the distant sound of city traffic outside her boutique office. Yet, somewhere beneath it all, there's an ache she thought she had outgrown. Seeing Edward again has reopened a door she had locked years ago, not out of anger, but protection. He was her first taste of something pure, something terrifying. And as much as she had learned to love her independence, she can't deny the part of her that still wonders what might have been if fear hadn't led them apart. A few days later, she's sitting in a quiet cafe tucked away on Melrose Avenue, the kind of place where no one knows her story. She sips her coffee, her thoughts drifting, when she hears the familiar scrape of a chair across the floor. She looks up. Edward stands there, holding two cups. "They told me you still take it black," he says with a hesitant smile. Vivian raises an eyebrow. "You've been asking questions." He shrugs, a rare trace of boyish charm slipping through his practiced composure. "Only to make sure I don't mess up twice." Their conversation drifts between laughter and quiet pauses. There's comfort in the familiarity, but also a tension beneath every word, a truth neither can ignore. The world has changed. They have changed. Yet the connection between them still burns, calm but unshakable, like a flame that never learned how to die. When they leave the cafe, the sun is dipping low, painting the sky in gold and amber. Edward walks her to her car, hesitating before saying goodbye. "Vivian," he begins, "what if we stopped running from what's left?" She looks at him for a long moment. And what if what's left isn't enough? The question hangs in the air like smoke. He takes a breath. "Then we'll find out together." She smiles softly, the kind of smile that forgives but never forgets. "You always did have a way with words," she says, opening the car door. "But some stories don't need fixing, Edward. They just need peace." He nods, though his eyes betray the hope still flickering behind them. As her car pulls away, he stands alone under the fading light, watching until the red taillights vanish into the distance. The city hums around him, indifferent yet alive. He feels the pull again, that old mix of regret and possibility, and decides that if fate gave him another chance, he wouldn't waste it. That night, as the rain begins to fall softly against the city, Edward drives aimlessly through familiar streets. Every traffic light, every corner, feels like a memory. He passes the old hotel, their hotel, now renovated, glowing brighter than before. For a moment, he pulls over, resting his hand on the steering wheel. The rain streaks across the windshield like tears he never shed. Somewhere in that silence, he makes a decision. He won't wait for destiny this time. He'll go to her. Across town, Vivian stands by her apartment window, the sound of rain tapping softly against the glass. She closes her eyes, feeling something stir deep within her chest. Not sorrow, not fear, but a quiet knowing. She whispers to herself, "If love wants to find me again, I won't hide this time." The camera would linger on her face, framed by city lights and raindrops, before cutting to Edward driving into the night, to souls once broken, now moving toward each other through the glow of a city that remembers their story better than they do, somewhere between the past and the present. Love begins to breathe again. The city glows under a silver dawn, the rain from last night leaving tiny mirrors across the streets. Edward stands outside her building, holding a single white envelope. Inside it, not a business proposal or a love letter, just words he's never managed to say. He looks up, unsure if this is the right thing to do, but he knows he can't leave again without trying. Some stories, he realizes, aren't meant to end quietly. Upstairs, Vivian is already awake, her morning coffee untouched. She stares out at the skyline, the same skyline that once made her feel small, now looking like a map of everything she conquered. Yet, even in victory, there's an emptiness she can't name. Her phone buzzes, an unknown number. A text appears, downstairs. One last talk. For a moment, she closes her eyes, a soft sigh escaping her lips. Against her better judgment, she smiles. When she steps outside, the morning light spills over her like a memory. Edward stands there, no limo, no bodyguards, no armor of wealth, just a man with weary eyes and a hopeful heart. She walks toward him slowly, the sound of her heels echoing through the quiet street. He begins, "I told myself once that I wasn't good at love. That maybe some people are meant to build empires, not homes. But every time I tried to move on, I found myself comparing the world to you. And nothing ever matched. Vivian crosses her arms, half defensive, half vulnerable. You can't rewrite the past, Edward. He nods. I'm not trying to. I'm just hoping we can stop pretending it didn't matter. For a long pause. There's only the sound of the city waking up, car doors slamming, birds cutting through the morning air. And somewhere in the distance, a saxophone playing on the corner. It's as if the world is holding its breath for them. Vivian finally says, "You hurt me, you know? Not because you left, but because you made me believe I wasn't enough for your world." Edward steps closer, his voice barely above a whisper. "You were more than enough. I was the one who wasn't." The honesty in his tone cuts through the air like sunlight after a storm. She studies his face, the lines that time has carved, the tenderness that age has deepened. And suddenly, she doesn't see the man who walked away. She sees the man who finally came back. "Do you remember what you said the last night before you left?" She asks quietly. He nods. "That fairy tales aren't real." She smiles faintly, her eyes glistening. "Maybe they are. We just never stayed long enough to see the ending." He takes her hand gently, uncertainly. "Then let's stay this time." The words hang between them like a promise the universe has been waiting to hear. The tension melts away, replaced by a quiet peace neither of them expected. Vivian doesn't answer with words. She simply leans into him, resting her head against his chest, the city noise fading into a distant hum. For the first time in years, Edward feels the weight lift from his shoulders. No deals, no deadlines, just the heartbeat of the woman who taught him what love really meant. He closes his eyes, whispering into her hair, "You turned a broken man into someone real again." Vivian smiles softly. "And you taught me that even fairy tales need time." The camera would rise slowly, framing them against the glowing horizon to silhouettes standing at the intersection of memory and forgiveness. The music swells, a gentle orchestral reprise of It Must Have Been Love. The city blurs behind them, the world moving on. But for this moment, time stands still. As they walk hand in hand down the quiet street, the film's light fades to gold. Their laughter drifts through the morning air, older, softer, but still carrying the same magic that once changed everything. Text fades in across the screen. "Pretty Woman 2, Love Never Ends." It just waits for the right time. The music lingers for a few seconds longer before fading to silence, leaving only the echo of footsteps and the distant hum of Los Angeles. And somewhere in that silence, a single line whispers softly, "Welcome back, pretty woman."